Now more than ever, as intuitives and empaths, it's so important that we find and cultivate ways and tools to help not only renew, but rejuvenate our spirit. Because let's face it, right now, the world is so chaotic. We, as a collective, feel the grief, the despair, sometimes even the hopelessness of the current situation. But I am here to remind you that you have a bright light. And that light is so important to cultivate and shine, to not only connect to the spirit of hope, but to help inspire others. Because as we're in this period of not only just uncertainty, but tragedy, it can be very easy to get stuck in overwhelm, get stuck in getting addicted to the news, finding our spirit and ourselves stuck and crushed. So today, in this video, I'm going to share with you some simple tools that I use to rejuvenate and renew my spirit during hard times, and especially during the collective consciousness that we're in right now. So before I go any further, hi, I'm Sonia. I'm a 4th generation intuitive, and I teach you how to plug back into your innate divine self. And today I'm going to be sharing with you these simple tools that you can use right now to not only help protect your light, cultivate it, but also use that light to help share and reflect with others. I recently just got home from visiting my family in Europe, and I arrived in Chicago and was invited to go to a show. My partner is a videographer, and there was such an internal conflict where there is so many awful things going on. I almost felt like it was a betrayal to go have fun. So despite my own internal resistance, because often I find that part of myself can feel that if I'm not participating in this collective grief, then I am not paying attention or giving it the weight that it deserves. And that is not true. So jet lagged, feeling over it, feeling sad, wanting to actually just lay in bed and process, which I'd been doing a lot. I instead got up and went to a show, and I danced. I danced so hard. I found so many wonderful people who shared moments of play and connection. I found new friends, had beautiful conversations, was given gifts of stickers and drinks, and had these moments of collective effervescence, even within the despair. And I found what is so important is how to cultivate not only moments of joy, but of renewal. Because in order for us as individuals to sustain and to even have a well to draw from, to help and be of service to others, to help the healing of the planet, to bring into collective action, then we need also to find balance. It's not a betrayal of what is so. Instead, it is a call of hope, of joy, of even action, so that we can be in it for the long haul during these tumultuous times. I still feel like I have PTSD from that word, from COVID, but they are. Right now, it's really, really, really challenging. So what I found after going to the show, despite what my head, despite how I felt, despite the internal grief, was renewed. I felt like I had a lot more energy and attention and love and patience and compassion to give others, including myself. So the very first thing that I really want to say, and this is something that I've been leaning into with these types of moments when you feel really out of control and in a lot of grief, is to really lean into your spiritual practices. I myself have a spiritual routine that I do almost every morning, which includes meditation, includes breath work, yoga. The beautiful thing about when we lean into spiritual practices first is it allows us to get out of our head, connect back to our body, back to our spirit, and back to the divine. And in addition to my regular practices that help to give me a sense of stability, that helps me give something, my ego, intellect, my human part, something that I can count on and look forward to, is also prayer. Now, however you identify prayer, I think of as just a way that we can ask for help, that we can turn things over to a higher power, and that we can actually help to raise the collective vibration of the planet. When you pray, when you put things out into the universe, you immediately connect with your guides, with your angels. You immediately send out those vibrations from your heart space that reverberate. Some of the prayers that I have at this moment are prayers for peace. I pray for healing. I pray for a collective shift in consciousness. I pray for people to really recognize that we are not only one and the same. And I pray for also finding ways of accountability, conversation, and to get out of this black and white dynamic that the world feels like it's so entrenched in this moment. And with each prayer that you make as a gift, as an offering, is a practice of turning it over. So right now, I want you to ask yourself, what are your spiritual practices? It doesn't have to be yoga. It doesn't have to be meditation. It could be mantra chanting. It could even be the intention of having a cup of coffee and saying your prayers, saying your affirmations, saying what you're grateful for. What I find that is actually spiritual, instead of the practice, is the intention, and also how do you feel before and afterwards. So I encourage you, what are spiritual practices that help you feel good? When we're in such divisive energy, it's very easy to forget that it's not me versus you, such as ego. But when we connect to spirit, it's me and you. And even better, what can we create together? How can we come up with solutions? So that practice helps to bring that framework and that energy throughout your day, throughout your week, throughout your life. And I have found that that has been something that has been very grounding, rejuvenating, and comforting for me. So I feel like find your spiritual practice, find what works for you. Second, most important, go outside. When we are inside, when we are constantly glued to the news, to our phones, to our computers, to not moving, we often forget that we are first not only connected as physical beings, but that we belong also to Mother Nature, that we belong to planet Earth. And this is a place of belonging. Nature is such a powerful way is that we can connect to something larger than ourselves, larger than our limited selves. And often a really great practice, like I live in New Orleans and we have really big, beautiful oak trees. And I have an oak tree right outside of my house that I often go and sometimes even put my hands on and think of it as I am giving what I'm carrying over to this oak tree that can hold, that can root it, that has also been here for so much longer. When you look at nature, when you look at mountains, when you look at the sky, when you look at flowers, first we remembered that things are cyclical in nature, that things change, that this isn't a forever, which when we're in a lot of fear and upset can feel like forever. And also that nurturing energy of Mother Earth can hold that, can protect it, can nurture it, and be a gift back to ourselves. So move your body, go outside, go for a walk. If it's cold where you are, even better. Cold is very good for regulating your nervous system. And it's really good. Fresh air does wonders for your body. I heard something a while ago that was like, you are basically like a plant. Make sure that you get enough water, air, and sunshine. And it is so true, especially now more than ever. The third thing that I really is actually my favorite practice is to be a good vibes fairy. And what I mean by that is that when you can show up and be present with somebody, even in passing a cashier at the grocery store, an Uber ride, anyone that you come across, of giving your presence, energy, attention, and love to, by even standing witness, sharing what you're excited about, listening, as like my video last week, how to have high vibe conversations. has a ripple effect on the people around you. For example, when I went to my show, I was feeling exhausted and in despair and in my head and all over. And the people that I connected with who shared the gift of their presence and energy with me shifted me out of that consciousness way quicker than I even thought. It was instantaneous. All of a sudden, I was back to hope, joy, and that you, in doing that, can be a light that can help light the way for others. And being a good vibes fairy is so easy to do. This is where we can also have acts of generosity, or we can go and volunteer. You can volunteer your time, attention, services, even though we can often feel like, oh, I am so maxed. That's the absolute last thing that I want to do. Science backs every time that you do something altruistic, that you do as a gift to others, you feel really good. You remember the goodness of humanity. You remember the goodness of people. You remember that you have power and a gift to share with others. So find something, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Just the other day, when I was in Chicago, there was a homeless man who was outside on the street and said, I'm hungry. So I walked into CVS. I got him socks, underwear, permanent marker, a bunch of different food, a gift card, some Gatorades, and handed it to him after asking what he needed. I'd socks and the underwear were by idea because I always love socks in that way. They always make me feel better. But it was a direct way that I could help to give back. And I felt so good. And seeing the smile on his face brought me so much joy and was a reminder, again, of the goodness and sweetness in the world. Number 4, protect your mental health. When we are mainlining the news, when we're constantly scrolling on social media, when we're inundated with images that are traumatic, it actually hits and gets our parasympathetic nervous system going, putting us into fight, flight, or freeze. So I encourage you, for example, I don't watch the news. I often read the news. And I also check in with my own mental health. Do I have the capacity to take this on today? Can I come back or even sometimes listen to a podcast that might help me that doesn't always use my visual cortex as a way? Just because you're not watching the news all the time doesn't mean that you don't care. Just because you're not participating in social media conversations doesn't mean that you don't care. That actually caring for and protecting your mental health space, again, gives you resiliency, well-being, and the energy to sustain. So be aware of your news consumption. If you're somebody who likes to watch the news, be aware of watching it right first thing in the morning or right when you go to bed. Having healthy boundaries with our phones when it comes to social media in any way, the news, anything is so important because we are not wired to take in this much information. And right now it can feel like it's a way to be of service, to be glued to every single thing that is happening. But maybe, like I said, find a pivot. See if you can read the newspaper, so you can listen to a podcast, and notice how that changes your energy. And then last but not least, which is so important, reach out. When we are in these in poop soup, it feels like collectively, it's where we often feel alone and isolate. So check on your friends. Check on the people you love. Check on the people that you're struggling. And if you need help, reach out to others. Reach out to your friends. Reach out to your family. Go find some sort of community, whether that be online, whether that be in person, whether that be in volunteering for an afternoon. These are ways that we can also take care of each other. Because at the end of the day, not only are we all connected, but the more that we can also recognize and care for our neighbor, even literally your next door neighbor, knock on their door, how you doing? The more that we can care for ourselves, it becomes a mirror. And most importantly, do not forget that your light matters. You matter. You have an incredible ripple out effect. And that in maintaining hope, in remaining and connecting and protecting and rejuvenating your spirit, you are being of service to others because you have no idea what the effect will be. Just like all of those strangers at that show had such a profound effect on me. And make time for fun. Make time for joy. We can hold two different things at one time. It's not either or, and it's not nonsense. It is important. It helps to give us resiliency, flexibility, hope, humor, and connection. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Check out my video last week, how to have high vibrational conversations. And if you need help or support, come book a reading with me. I do intuitive soul readings. Check out my mentorship program. Check out my family podcast. I would absolutely love to hear from you. What are the ways that you are using to nurture and rejuvenate your spirit? Let me know in the comments. I am sending you all my love, a giant hug, and an appreciation for your time, attention, and who you are. Bye.